Hello everyone, welcome to another Flesh and Blood video. Part the Mistveil is right around the corner, and now that we have the whole set, we can finally take a look at all of the new cards. As always, these videos will be split into two different videos. The first video for this series, or the small series for Part the Mistveil, is going to be all of the Mystic cards, including the Mystic Assassin, Mystic Ninja, Mystic Illusionist, and Generic Mystic. In the next video, which will be next Thursday, we will be taking a look at all of the other cards, meaning all of the base Assassin, Ninja, Illusionist, as well as the base generic cards, and all of the expansion slot cards. But for now, let's get started by talking about the first hero from Part the Mistveil, New Alluring Desire. New, just like the other heroes in the set, are 4 intellect and 40 health, so all standard. New has 2 abilities. She makes your attacks with stealth gain, when this chain link resolves, banish all action cards defending this. And her second ability is an instant that requires 3 chi. Chi is something we will end up talking about today. And then you look at the top card of your opposing hero's deck. If it's a blue, you may banish it, and until the end of the turn, you may play blue cards from that hero's banish zone without paying their resource costs. Of all the abilities of heroes in this set, I think New kind of has the worst one, which is saying something considering that I think this ability is still fairly strong. New's first effect isn't really that important. Stealth cards don't really have that much impact, and getting an extra banish is okay. It's on actions, which is what you can play off of her second ability, but if they end up blocking with a yellow or a red and you banish it, you don't really care. I guess a good thing is you are getting cards out of their deck, so if they are playing anything with recursion, they can't block with those actions and then recur them later. But the main reason for that first ability is to help get cards into banish. They're set up for her second ability. Her second ability is really only strong in a few matchups. I think New is definitely the least chi-reliant hero in the game, mainly because she doesn't need this ability in most matchups. The only matchups I find this ability to be actually pretty strong in are the mirror, where you want to be playing a ton of blues, into ninjas that play a lot of blues with Go Again, which is usually just Zen, although Fi does end up having all of his blues with Go Again. Although I could see them building a little differently now to play around this hero. As well as Guardian, mainly just because all of their blue attacks are pretty good and you get to play them for free. If you can give any of them Go Again, you can just play multiples on your big turn and just run them over. New's young hero is the exact same with 20 health. I won't be going over the young heroes. Well, I will be going over one young hero, but that's because they're not an adult hero in the set. New comes along with one weapon, the Beckoning Mistblade. Beckoning Mistblade is a Mystic Assassin dagger, so only New can play it. And just like other daggers, you can pay 2 resource to attack for 1 with Go Again. Unlike most other daggers, this does not have piercing, so they will be able to block it with equipment, but that's perfectly fine since this has an extremely strong hit effect. On hit, Beckoning Mistblade will give your next blue attack this turn +1 and Go Again. Mystic heroes are all about blues, and we know blues, they're really bad. Thankfully, this dagger is a must block, because on a hit, this turns any of your weakish blue attacks into something really strong and a threat for your opponent. Normally, people aren't playing 2 of these because of the effects of Disruptive Daggers alongside Flick Knives, but you can still flick this dagger, so I could see 2 of them being ran in the future. New's legendary equipment is Mask of Recurring Nightmares. This is a 2-block Mystic Assassin head equipment. It has Blade Break, and it has a once per turn attack reaction effect to pay 3 chi and have target defending hero banish a card from their hand. This is really strong into those slower matchups because it can be a great disruptive effect to get a card out of your opponent's hand. Another good thing about it is if you ever do have a chi in the mid game, since you want to really just use New's ability in the late game, this is a perfect payoff. Unlike Enigma and Zen, who want to use their chi abilities throughout the whole game, New doesn't really want to do so. So this is that perfect mid-game chi ability to stop your opponent from threatening your life total by taking cards out of their hand. As well, it is 2-block, so it is the most block you can play in your head slot. That's useful, right? I'm sure there might be one helmet you can. Obviously, Warrior has like Prize Galea, but for Assassin, it's the most block you can play, which is really nice. There's also one rare and 2 other common equipment, starting with the rare Heirloom of Snakehide. Most of these cloak equipment really aren't that good. All of the cloak chest pieces enter play face down, and when you have one life, you can flip them face up. This is battle worn 2, so you get 3 health out of it, but it's just not that good. Cloak is a new mechanic that has the equipment enter play face down, and then you can use effects to flip it face up. It really is only important for like 2 equipment in the set because most of the other cloak equipment are pretty bad. I'll note down the ones where it is actually a good equipment. There are a few, but honestly, I don't think these are that strong. I think this actually might also be the worst cloak chest piece, so that kind of sucks. The other 2 are common equipment, and they're actually pretty good. Arousing Wave and Undertow Stilettos are both 1-block battle-worn equipment. The waves are arms and the stilettos are legs. Both of them have a 1-cost attack reaction to destroy it and make a token in your hand. Arousing Waves makes a Fang Strike, and Undertow Stilettos makes a Slither token. These tokens are, if we scroll all the way down to the bottom, I believe they're down there. They are not down there. They are with the other assassin cards. Where? Here they are. Fang Strike is a 0-cost ephemeral +1, and Slither is a 0-cost ephemeral go again. So it's a +1 or go again. That can be played on anything. So these actually do have some advantage. Play a CNC, you can break in Arousing Waves to pump it to 7. Play something else, you can get go again. If you are a new, like NEW, new assassin player, these are actually some of the best equipment you can get. Flick Knives is still very strong, and I would still recommend you picking those up, but Undertow Stilettos might mean that you don't need Black Tech Whispers. And even with Arousing Waves, you could just not need the Flick Knives right away and focus on getting other important pieces like your Codexes or your Command and Conquers. Since both these equipment are actually very good, they both offer 1 extra health in 1 block, which is the same, if not better, than Flick Knives and the Black Techs, mainly for the Flick Knives, since those are Blade Break, so you won't get use out of them and get to block early enough to stop a hit effect. Of course, the Black Techs may be better, but these are also offering you 2 reactions, which won't matter for the cards we're showing today because there's no attacks in Mystic Assassin. It's all reactions. But a lot of the new assassin cards care about reacting multiple times, which will be really important for these 2 equipment. So do keep an eye on these. Moving on to the Majestics. Gorgon's Gaze is a yellow 2-cost Mystic Assassin attack reaction. It has 3 block. And it creates a Slither token, which is the go again, and you banish all defending attack action cards on the combat chain. If Chi was pitched to play this, you may play the banished cards without paying their costs this combat chain. This card is really good versus a matchup like Guardian, where all of their cards are attack actions. Of course, New banishing them with her ability will happen if you didn't play the Gorgon's Gaze, but Gorgon's Gaze does it at reaction timing, meaning that if your opponent, say, blocks with 4 attack actions, you play this, they are not blocking anymore because all their cards are in the banish zone, which is very strong. You can also play this on any attack. So your CNC, you can Gorgon's Gaze it, also give it go again with the Slither token, which is pretty nice. Another thing, you can save the Fang Strike and Slither tokens if you need them for later. You can Arsenal them. You can also E-Strike them to the bottom, so make sure they are in your same sleeves. But Gorgon's Gaze is a 2-cost go again that gives you a bunch of free damage because it stops them from blocking. Part of the problem with it is that it doesn't actually pump your attacks itself. A lot of the attacks you're actually playing do just want to get stronger, but Gorgon's Gaze preventing them from blocking is a pretty good effect. As well as the ability to play one right after if you are playing into Guardian and they block with like a Macho Grande, play this, give your thing go again, swing with the Macho Grande. Pretty strong. Next is Siren's Call. This is a 1-cost attack reaction at red. It blocks for 3. It has you look at defending hero's hand and choose a blue card. Then you add it to the chain link, and if you do, you draw a card. Pretty strong to take blues out of your opponent's hand, although I think it's only really good in a few matchups. Into most matchups, you are adding a 3-block to the chain, so you can force your opponent to overblock, but you're also reducing your own damage if they don't block at all, to get a card out. And yes, it does replace itself, but it still costs 1, which can still sometimes be a little awkward. I don't really like this card all too much. It's only really good into Mystic Mirrors because this card can force Chi as well as the instance to generate Chi to block, because it's only adding them to the chain link as a defending card. It's not forcing them to block like one of the other cards we will look at today. But this card's okay in the mirror. I don't know if I would include it in my sideboard though, because New definitely has a lot of space, or definitely does not have that much space in her deck to play a card like this, because there are just so many good cards she could already be playing. The final Mystic Assassin, Majestic, is Sacred Art Undercurrent Desires. All 3 heroes have one of these as in a 3-cost instant, and this is sort of the 9th Transcend. Transcend is a mechanic that gives you Chi, so we'll go over it now. When a card transcends, you'll flip it over. It will stay this way for the rest of the game, and when you pitch it, it'll just go into your deck as Chi, which means once you flip them, you can pitch them as normal blues, and you're in a good spot. Transcend will also put the card back in your hand because you have to play these to actually transcend them. So all of these 3-cost blue instants all have a choice effect. They say if you've played another blue card this turn, choose 3, otherwise choose 1. So you'll need to be playing a blue to actually get the full use of this card. The 3 choices you have for Undercurrent Desires are create a Fang Strike and Slither in your hand, which are the +1 and go again token. Banish up to 2 cards from an opposing hero's graveyard, as well as Transcend. Sadly, Undercurrent Desires feels pretty bad since the banish up to 2 cards from an opposing hero's graveyard doesn't feel all too strong. Yes, you can banish blues to feel new, or you can banish cards that might want to recur, but it's really not that strong. The Fang Strike and Slither are pretty good. +1 and go again isn't that bad, although it does cost 3, which does feel a little weird. I guess if you've played a blue, you're getting 2 reacts off the Fang Strike and Slither, and you're getting your blue back, but you still want -2 because you pitched a card in your hand already to play this. So, sure. This card I think you still play inside of new decks because you definitely value the +1 and go again, as well as it's not a card that will sit in your graveyard to get banished later in the mirror, but if they do banish this one first, it'll feel a little weird. I suppose you get the transcend because it goes back to its owner's hand, but they'll still get the +1 go again, and that could be a problem. I think this card still is decent enough to still play, but it's in my list currently always on the chopping block, but it's still a go again source, so you really can't hate it, and it's a blue. Moving on to the rares, Tide Chakra is a rare that will give +3 to an assassin or mystic attack, 2 at yellow, 1 at blue. But if you've transcended this turn, it will give that much +2 instead. So red Tide Chakra will give 5, yellow will give 4, blue will give 3. They are 3 block, but they do cost 1. This one isn't really seeing much play right now, mainly because new has a lot of 0 for 5s. So if something can't impress with its effect, like some of the cards we'll see later, and give multiple reactions, or have insane blowout effects, it's just not that strong. And Tide Chakra just isn't that strong. That's actually the only rare for Mystic Assassin. Next, we'll take a look at the commons. Hiss is a 1 cost, 3 block attack reaction. It's the same values as all the others, +3, +2, +1. And they say if you've pitched a blue card this turn, you create a Slither token in your hand. Hiss is a 1 for 3, yes, which, again, as I just said with Tide Chakra, feels pretty weak. But you have to remember that if you've pitched a blue, you'll get go again, which is incredibly strong, as well as the fact that you'll get a second reaction, which will matter for some of the cards we'll look at next week. Hiss is a card I think you'll see play in every new deck just because getting to play an extra attack each turn is really strong, and it's not dependent on how your opponent blocks either, so really, really good. Intimate Inducement is a interesting card. All versions of it will give +1 to an assassin or mystic attack action, and all of them have 3 block. Like, I think most cards in this set have 3 block. I think there's very little 2 blocks other than just like the Mystic generics, and a lot of them also have 3 block. So, where the color shifts on this card is how many cards you get to look at with the second effect. The red will let you look at the top 4 cards of the Defending Heroes deck, the yellow 3, and the blue 2. No matter how many cards you look at, you'll get to choose a card, and if that card is blue, it has 0 base block, and then you put that card on the active chain link as a defending card. This, as well, can take chi out of the opponent's deck. It does force the card to have 0 base block, which is pretty nice. This one is a little better into those high block blue decks more than the chi deck, since you can take an actual blue out of their deck and then get rid of it with Macho Grande, or get rid of it with New's ability, and like Guardian, you can hit a Macho Grande. You don't get to play it that turn, but that's alright. It also makes it so adding the card doesn't force it to stop your attack more, because its block is now 0. Although you don't get to replace this card like you would with the other one. I don't think this card is that strong, but I definitely think some people are trying it because into certain matchups, it's really strong. It's a good disruptive effect, and even as just like a blue in your deck, it's not bad as a card you can always just pitch. The final Mystic Assassin common is Venomous Bite. This is a 1 for 3, 2, or 1, same as Hiss, and it's a similar effect to Hiss, where if you've pitched a blue card this turn, you create a Fang Strike token, meaning this is a 1 for 4. Again, though, it's 2 reacts, which definitely matters. It's very flexible because it's a 3 and a 1 instead of just a 4. This card's very good. You'll see this one in pretty much every new deck as well. Next, let's move on to the Mystic Illusionist cards. I'm going to try to speed this up a little bit because I looked at how long I rambled on for the first part and it was 20 minutes. So we're going to try to keep this one under an hour, but it will probably go over. Enigma, Leader of Ancestry, is the same old stats. She also has 2 effects. Your first Spectral Shield attack each turn costs 1 less to activate, and she has a once per turn instant of pitching 3 chi to create a Spectral Shield with a +1 counter. Her weapon is not Mystic limited, so we will not be going over it today. However, with her weapon, it will pretty much make your first shield attack free for 2 with Go Again. I'll just talk about her weapon. Oh well, we'll go over this more whenever we take a look at the normal illusionist cards, but might as well do it now because it makes sense. Cosmos, Scroll of Ancestral Tapestry. During your turn, your auras with ward are base power equal to their ward and attack for 1, and then your auras with a +1 counter get Go Again. So do note that we'll get Go Again on all of our +1 counter auras, and they all attack for 1, and they all have power equal to their ward. So a Spectral Shield has 1 base, it gets +1 from Enigma's ability, and then it will come in for 1, but an Enigma will make your first one free. Okay. That's just the baseline. So like this card will be 1 Go Again with ward whatever, with so its base powers whatever, right? So you can understand. Meridian Pathway is a Mystic Illusionist Lex. This has an instant to pay 3 chi, and if you do, you may play auras as their instance this turn. This card is seeing a lot of play. Personally, I think Phantasmal Footsteps are a little better for Enigma's game plan, but these are good into some matchups still, so you'll want to end up playing both. These also have a second ability where whenever you pitch a chi, you may give Meridian Pathways Ward 3 until end of turn. So you activate Enigma, you make a shield, and then you can give these Ward 3 if you want to. You don't most of the time, but sometimes you will. A decent defensive shoe, but not really the best thing. Good with like exactly 1 card, but that 1 card isn't a Mystic Illusionist card, so we're not talking about it today. We have 3 new cloaked equipment. Heirloom of Rabbit Hide is a cloaked chest piece, flips the same way as the other one, and has ward 4. It ain't good, Chief. Truths Retold is a helmet where you can pay 1 to turn it face up to put an aura from your graveyard on the bottom of your deck. It also is ward 1. This one's okay, but considering that it's in the helmet slot, there's a lot of competition for it. Mainly the new Mystic generic helmet, as well as the old Crown and Balance. But we actually have a good cloak equipment. Probably the best common equipment in the set, I'd say. Uphold Tradition. This is a cloak arms, and it has ward 1. It has an instant to pay 1, turn it face up, and put a counter on an aura you control with ward. Which, this is notable, since our weapon gives auras with +1 counters Go Again. Which means if we get a really good aura in play, like any of our Majestic ones, we can give it a counter, give it Go Again, and have it come in for only 1 resource. I guess technically 2, because we did use this, but this is more of a reaction than actually paying an extra for the attack anyway. So this card, very good. You'll see this in a ton of Enigma decks, simply because of just what this card can actually do. In testing, this card is insane at how strong it is. Looking at the M's, Manifestation of Mirror Guy is a 3-cost blue instant aura. It enters play with 2+1 counters on it, but if you pitched a Chi to play it, you get 4 instead. Manifestations of Mirgai has Ward X, where X is the number of counters on it. This card is absolutely insane, pretty much doubling the effectiveness of your counters. Even if you just play this for its 2 counter form, you can still come in for 4, and you also have Go again since it is +1 counters. If you play this with a Chi though, you get to swing with this thing for 8, which is absolutely crazy. This is one of the best cards inside of Enigma. It scales well with all of your other counter support, as well as her own ability and weapon. Sacred Art Immortal Lunar Shrine is her instant. I'm not going to go over what the instants, how they work again, because they're very similar. Your 3 choices are create 2 spectral shields, put a +1 counter on each aura with ward you control, and transcend. This is extremely strong. You're playing a lot of blues naturally because this is the blue illusionist, so you'll be able to flip this card incredibly fast. When you do, you get 2 1-counter shields at minimum, not to mention all of your other ward auras you have in play will get a counter, as well as you get the Transcend back, so you can activate Enigma's ability to get a 3rd shield, which is really strong. Even on turns where you have no board, just playing this with its effects, of course, to get all 3, making 3 shields by pitching this to Enigma, and then coming in with those 3 shields is a pretty strong turn. So Enigma gets a really, really good instant here. The last M, 3 visits, is a red instant this time. It costs 3, and it has Ward X, where X is 3 times the number of blue cards you've pitched this turn. Pretty strong. Off just the pitch you paid for it, it is worth 3. And then if you swing at it by pitching another blue, it does come in for 6. So that's pretty good. Doesn't innately come in with counters, which can make it a little niche, but that's okay. We have things like Uphold Tradition or other cards that can generate counters. This card does feel a little weak. I could definitely see Enigma lists not include it, but it is still decent. It is good ward, and I mean, it's good stats too. On a longer turn, if you can set up a big enough board, you're pitching multiple blues to attack anyway, so this can come in at the end for a lot of damage. Moon Chakra is the only Mystic Illusionist rare. This one is an instant, and it's the same numbers as the other one. 3/2/1 base, 5/4/3 if you've transcended. This one is a 0 cost that prevents that much damage. Pretty good. Good into Wizard, I guess, but I wouldn't really play this into anything else. Even into Wizard, I just wouldn't include this card in your deck. I think this is just the worst Chakra, mainly because when you look for a Chakra, you'd want to have a blue, because you can respond to the Chakra by transcending. So if you play Moon Chakra blue, then play an instant to transcend, you get the 3 prevent. But then you could have just played a 3 block and done something else with the instant. So Moon Chakra feels pretty weak to me. I don't think you'll end up including it. Moving on to the commons, Haze Shelter is a 2 cost instant. It has Ward X, where X is 4, 3, or 2, depending on color, if you've pitched a blue card this turn. Otherwise, its Ward is 1. Pretty strong. You can play this for 1 blue and then come in for 4. I don't like the blue version of it, but I do think some people will still play it. I personally prefer to only play the red here as just a 2 for 4, which could be pretty strong. Even on defense, play this, prevent 4, block with like a Brothers in Arms or your Shoes to block an extra 1 or a lot more. Pretty strong. Waning Vengeance is a 1 cost instant. When it leaves the arena, if you've pitched a blue this turn, you make a Spectral Shield. Pretty strong, it's pretty sticky. Its ward depends on its color. So at red it's 3, at yellow it's 2, and at blue it's 1. pretty decent. Again, I like this card at red, but I wouldn't mind playing it at blue either, because even though at blue it's a 1 for only 1 block, it does give you a shield, so it is like a 1 for 2, and it's fairly flexible. Especially into something like a ninja matchup, who is going to come at you with a lot of 1s, and you kind of want to stop a lot of 1s. The last one is Waxing Spectre. This is a 2 cost with a effect of when you've pitched a blue card this turn, or if you've pitched a blue card this turn, it enters with a +1 counter. This one's actually real nice. It's very similar to Haze Shelter, but probably a little better, since it will keep its high ward no matter what you've pitched. Waxing Spectre also will have Go Again if you do play it and swing, because it does get a counter. At blue, this card's great too, because even though it's a 2 for 2, it is still Go Again, and it still sits there as a good aura. So this card, another really good one. I think, honestly, the actual auras Mystic Illusionist gets are really strong. It's just the only bad card is like their chakra, which is fine, because these cards don't really need to be that strong. The final hero we need to talk about, and my personal favorite, Zen, Tamer of Purpose. Zen has the same stats, and he is a ninja. He only has one ability. It is a once per turn instant that costs 3 chi to create a crouching tiger in your hand, as well as search your deck for a card with combo, banish it, you then shuffle your deck, and you can play that card you banished this turn. Really strong, very similar to Katsu, but with a definitely different cost. It is harder to get a chi in your hand to pitch for Zen, but the payoff can be so much stronger. Zen doesn't really have access to a dishonor line like Katsu does. I definitely say Katsu's a more consistent hero, but if you liked Phi, where you just put out a huge number of things, Zen is kind of like the thinking you need for Katsu with the aggro potential of Phi, which is something that I think is really, really cool. Zen's legendary equipment is the 12 Petal Kasaya. This is a 2-block Mystic Ninja equipment. It is your chest piece, so it will replace your tunic, but I think they did it, guys. I think they made an equipment that is better than tunic. Whenever you transcend, you may gain a resource. Zen is a hero that really wants to transcend because he has an incredibly strong hero ability, which means you'll get that free resource no matter what, letting you pay for anything else on your turn. But that's not all. It does have 2 block with Blade Break, which you're not going to be blocking with it usually, but it's there. It has a second effect though. An instant to pay 3 chi and destroy it, but you do create a Zen State token. A Zen State, it has to be in this set. It has to be on this list, right? Because people don't know what this token does. To be fair, where is it? Please, I just need... Here it is. Zen State. When it enters the arena, it gets a balance counter. And at the beginning of your action phase, you destroy it unless you remove a balance counter. So you'll get it for 2 turns. If you would be dealt damage, you prevent 1 of that damage, which is insane. Against Go Wide decks, this can be an upwards of 4, not even 4, upwards of like 8 health, because it prevents 1 from every attack. Of course, you will be breaking your chest piece to do so, but in some matchups, a matchup like Runeblade, their rune chants don't do anything anymore. A matchup like Phi, maybe even the Mirror, you can prevent so much damage with this card. Incredibly strong. You will need it if you are playing Zen. Zen also has a few other equipment. Heirloom, if Tiger Hide's bad, don't play it. and Stride of Appraisal. This is a one block blade break legs. When it defends, you make a crouching tiger in your hand. This is very similar to the equipment from the Ira deck in the round the table, although they definitely have different uses. That one makes the tiger and banish, meaning you can sit on it. But with a card, is it a mystic card? It is a mystic card. With the next card we will talk about, it actually matters that the tiger is in your hand, as well as you can Art of War away the crouching tiger. So on a turn you want to Art of War, but you don't want to banish the attack in your hand. You can block with this, do the thing to get your chi. So say your hand is an Art of War, an attack you don't want to get rid of, and two chi, two instants that flip into chi. You can play those two instants at the same time, get both to your hand, make 2 resource off the Kasaya, then use 1 to play the Art of War, and just banish the tiger that you blocked with, that you gained off the Stride of Appraisals, and then you get a Zen Tutor, and then your hand is 2 cards you drew off Art of War, another attack or another card you didn't want to get rid of, a tiger, and the card you tutored off Zen is in your banish and you can play it this turn. So you can get some really, really strong turns with this. So this card actually, I was a little down on it in the beginning, but now that I've actually tested with it, this card's very strong, and you'll definitely see this one inside of a lot of Zen decks. Sadly, Zen doesn't get a second equipment, but like, there's no way it'd be as good as what he could already play, to be fair, so that's probably fine. So let's move on to the M's. Tooth and Claw is a 0 for 4 with 3 block. It's at red. When this attacks, you may reveal any number of crouching tigers in your hand. If you revealed 1, this gets go again. 2, this gets +1, and 3, you draw a card. 3 or more, you draw a card. Phoenix Form was a card that I absolutely loved. Too bad it sucked. This card is Phoenix Form. Arguably way easier to do because you can make so many tigers so easily in your hand. The next 2 cards we'll talk about make 2 in your hand, which means we can combine them with your shoes. There are 2 other cards we're playing that, or pretty much every card will make a tiger or do something with tigers if it's Mystic Ninja. That's just how the set works. So this card can easily still be a 0 for 4 go again. That's mainly why you're playing it. But if you can get to that 3, getting that bonus card is just so strong. This card really strong. You'll definitely see it out there. Next is Shifting Winds of the Mystic Beast. This is a 1-cost blue. It is 3 block. Whenever you play a Crouching Tiger this turn, name a card. It gains that name. And if a chi was pitched to play this, you create 2 tigers in your hand. And then this says go again. Note, be careful with the Kasaya. If you generate too many resources, you can't pitch a chi for this because you'll have a resource. So if you do that Art of War turn that I said before, and this was that last card, only make 1 off the Kasaya because it is a May. You don't have to. So you can play your Art of War and then pitch that second chi for this. Because if you made 2 resource, you'll need to play something else to get down to 0 so you can actually pitch a chi for this card. Just to note that. But this card's very strong. It gives you 2 tigers, lets you change their names, which is actually really good. Zenless gets to play random 1 of Dishonor, 1 of Find the Center. This card's really good with 100 wins because if you make everything 100 wins, then you just go, okay, play 4 tigers, 100 wins for 7, 100 wins for 8. You just get so much damage off of it. This is a really strong power card, really good with the Tooth and Claw as well. One of the best cards in the deck. I've seen a lot of lists on 2. I think that's perfectly fair. This card does feel pretty clunky. Whenever you draw it without a chi to activate it, it just feels pretty bad. So I could definitely see going down to 2 to fit a little more oomph into your deck. Sacred Art Jade Tiger Domain is Zen's choice instant. It lets you make 2 tigers in your hand, give all your tigers +1 this turn, and transcend. This is very good. I don't know if it's stronger than Enigma's, but it is still very strong. It's a 10th pump for your tigers because you're already playing 9. And it's a chi that you can pitch to Zen, and it gives you, again, 2 tigers in your hand. Very strong. Wind Chakra is Ninja's Chakra. This one's actually good. Same numbers as the other ones. This one will give your next tiger power and then more power if you've transcended. Specifically, Blue Wind Chakra is an extremely good card. Since this is a blue you actually want to be playing, it costs 0, so if you're playing a switchboard or just playing Kodachis, you can still pitch it, and it gives +3 to your next tiger. Guess what? You play this, you play 1 transcend card, you tutor something with Zen, you can play that tiger off Zen for 3, and then the attack right after that. Really strong. One of the, honestly, best cards you could be playing, I think, inside of Zen. Champion of the Claw is where Zen goes downhill, though. I see people playing this card. I think this is the one bad Mystic Ninja card. Okay, it's the second bad one, because Heirloom of Tiger Hide exists. But, like, you're telling me you're going to pay 2 to make a tiger? It's a 2 for 4. Yes, it has Go Again, but that's still pretty weak. You have to pitch 2 cards if you want to actually have the tiger come in for damage, because you'd have to play this and then swing with Kakra and then swing with the tiger, which is 4 resource. The only way that's worth it is your last card is like Ki Unleashed. And even then, I'd rather just play a Harmony of the Hunt. Harmony of the Hunt is the same card, but 1 less cost and 1 less power. I was also pretty down on this card, but after playing with it, it does feel pretty strong. The good things about it are it costs 1, so off just a blue pitch, you can play this, make the tiger, and then come in with your Kakra and then the tiger. Another good thing is the blue is very similar. It's actually only a loss of 1 damage because your Tiger Stripe Shuka will pump the tiger after the Harmony of the Hunt, as well as this is just a blue, so not bad. The yellow's not good, probably don't play it, but it's there. I really just don't understand why people are playing Companion of the Claw. Like, I'm sure it's fine, but I feel like if you're including this card, you could be building your deck a little differently to make it so you don't need this card. And yeah, it makes a tiger for Tooth and Claw, but I haven't been having problems. Maybe the 3 tiger is a little more consistent with it, but I feel like you don't really even need the 3 tiger. I feel like just the 0 for 4 Go Again is strong enough. The final Mystic Ninja card is Tiger Form Incantation. This is a 1 cost that gives your next tiger you play +3, 2, or 1 depending on color. And if you've pitched a blue card this turn, you add a tiger to your hand, and then this is Go Again, and it's 3 block. It's very similar to the Harmony of the Hunt. I think it's a little better because it's a little more flexible, not requiring you to, or it's a 3 block mainly, but it doesn't require you to use your first mark on Shuka sometimes, which can be a little weird. You know, sometimes in some matchups you don't want to take your Shuko, but sometimes you do. So Harmony of the Hunt blue is good for that, but most of the time you'd rather have a red or an incantation. It's just some weird lines, but I personally think Tiger Form feels a little better than Harmony of the Hunt. I think it's mainly that 3 block, but oh well. The other good thing about it is it actually lets you use the tiger because it gives +3. Harmony of the Hunt doesn't let you use the Tiger immediately. You need to do something else for it. But this does let you, which is great. Of course, it's only one attack though, so if you do care about a large chain link, if you're doing something in Art of War, Harmony of the Hunt will be better. But by itself, this card is pretty good, and I personally really like it. Overall, of the three classes, I think all of them are very strong. Looking at their Mystic Assassin pack or their Mystic packages, Mystic Assassin is very tricky. They're all reactions. Mystic Illusionist, is this all instants? Mystic Illusionist is all instants. Zen is all Tiger cards. I think the Illusionist kind of wins here though. I think Enigma has sort of the best cards in general here. But Zen and New definitely have a lot of strong cards on their own. So you'll definitely want to be putting a bunch of these Mystic cards inside of your decks. Finally, let's move on to the generic Mystic cards. First, taking a look at the Fabled. Miss Cloak Gully is the Fabled. I wish it was displayed the other way, but I will read it to you. Miss Cloak Gully is a legendary, meaning you can only play one. It gives the first attack that targets you each turn -1 power, and at the beginning of each end phase, you destroy it unless you've pitch played or defended with the blue card this turn. But if you have pitch played or defended with the blue card this turn, you transcend, so you'll just get the flip back. This card will probably only see play inside of Enigma because that deck cares the most about its chi, and it's actually useful in that deck, unlike Zen. But that's about it. If you're playing Enigma, you might want it. I don't even know if you do want it. I'd play it because I play every chi possible in that deck, but you know, you don't need it. It's a Fable you don't need, but could be really good to have, in my opinion. Now we can look at just the other straight Mystic cards. Traverse the Universe is a new Mystic helmet. It is 2 block, and when it defends, you can search your deck for an inner chi, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle, and then this has Blade Break. Inner chi is the backside of all the Transcend cards. So when you block with it, you get to tutor up a chi. Really good inside of Enigma. You could definitely see this one. But also, I've been seeing some Zens play it. I think that's pretty decent to get a good combo turn off on Zen, but I'll have to test it out myself because I feel like the masks are kind of just pretty strong anyway. Next, we got some cloak equipment. Aqua Seeing Shell is a 1 block helmet with cloak. It is an instant to pay 3 resource, turn it face up, and draw. And at the start of your turn, you destroy it, so you'll get the block for the turn you flip it up, which could be pretty nice. It's decent. I think you'll see it in drafts. None of these, I think, will see play outside of draft or sealed, but this one's pretty good. Koi Bless Kimono is actually okay. If you go to 1, you can flip it face up, and it lets you destroy it to search for a chi. It doesn't give you any extra health like some of the other ones do, like the class ones do, but I mean, getting a chi is strong, so anyone except New would want it. Zen can maybe get a combo, like a good crackback turn, and Enigma gets more health because then she gets to make a chi. Only going to see this one in limited, though. Don't expect this one in constructed. Waves of Aquamarine is actually pretty good. This is similar to the headpiece, where it's 1 block and you destroy it at the start of your turn, but it's an attack reaction to pay 1, turn it face up, and give +1. Aqua Laps are similar with Go Again. Originally, I thought these would see some constructed play, but after looking at it, you know, Shoot goes stronger for gloves, Flick Knives and the new Assassin gloves are stronger. The other turn face up gloves for Illusionists are stronger, so those won't see play. And then you don't need the Go Again in Enigma. Zen has his new shoes, and new has her new shoes and black text, so the shoes won't see much play. Good free-to-play option, but this set already gives you free-to-play options, so you don't really need the Aqua Lapse. Good in, of course, limited, as always, though. Skycrest Kikoi, Skybody Kikoi, Skyhold Kikoi, and Skywalker Kikoi are all instant equipment to destroy themselves and prevent 1 damage, only activatable while face down. Their cycle, 1 in each slot. They're fine. Moving on to the M's. Attune with Cosmic Vibrations is a... Oh, by the way, all these are blue. Every one of these Mystic cards is blue, even if it's a rare or common. It's sort of like Draconic cards, where they're all red. So Attune with Cosmic Vibrations is a 0 cost, 2 block, 2 power. When it attacks or defends a hero's attack, you reveal the top card of their deck. If it's a blue, this gets +3/+3. I originally read this card, when I first saw it, as top card of your deck. This card doesn't do that. It's the top card of your opponent's deck. This card's really bad. Cosmic Awakening is a 9 cost with 3 block. It is 10 power if you've pitched 1 Chi, 15 power if you pitched 2 Chi, or 20 power if you've pitched 3. I'm sure we could get to a point where a deck like Enigma goes to a super late game situation where their deck is this and a bunch of Chi and they slam it for 20. But I think this card is pretty niche too. Costing 9 sucks, especially when you have to pitch 3 no blocks to actually play it. I guess if your hand is this and 3 Chi instants, and then you flip all 3 Chi instants on 1 turn, this could be bonkers. But, like, the chances of that happening on, like, turn 1 are pretty niche. But if it does happen on turn 1, you're probably going to win. Levels of Enlightenment is a 1 cost, 3 power, 3 block attack action. It has when this attacks, choose 1 for each blue card in your pitch this turn. You can draw a card, give it +2, or give it go again. This is a very strong card. I honestly think all of the Mystic heroes will be playing it. This is good and new because it's pretty flexible. If you hit with your new dagger, you already get to go again, and you probably already pitched a blue, so you can swing with this to draw and then have 4 go again, and you drew a card. Really strong. In Zen, you're going to be pitching a lot of blues because of his own ability. Notably, with the new chess piece, the Kasaya, that can generate you a resource to actually play this as well, which it really isn't bad. So you have a lot of flexibility there. And then, of course, Enigma is all blues. You're going to be pitching a lot of blues to attack. This can be a 1 for 3 go again, or it can be just a great chain ender to draw a card, get an arsenal, or just come in for 5. So I think this is going to be one of the strongest cards in the set. Definitely look for these in your boxes. Unravel Aggression is a 3 cost defense reaction that blocks for 5. If a Chi was pitched to play it, you draw a card. Decent. I don't think it'll see the most play, but the only deck that might want to play it is probably going to be Enigma. Dense Blue Mist is a 1 cost instant that gives attacks that target you -1 power, and if a Chi was pitched to play it, you stop hit effects this turn. Pretty decent if you're a control deck, so again, Enigma. Or I guess you could play it if you think Zen is going to be a big problem for you, or maybe even new. This is a good tech card, but again, the only deck that actually wants to be defensive that's Mystic is Enigma, and I don't think this card really helps you. I'm glad that it's limited to Mystic, because if this card was generic, and even though it had that Chi requirement, it still just gave attacks -1, that could be pretty big. Sort of like this round's on me, but it's alright. Orion of Mystic Tenants is a 4 cost instant. It's legendary. It says draw 2 cards, but if a Chi was pitched to play it, draw 3. This is another card that's really strong in Ninja randomly because On the turn where you transcend, you get the resource from your chest, which means you can just pitch that chi to play this and draw 3. Pretty decent there. As well as it could see play inside of Enigma, since you're playing a lot of blues anyway, so you don't mind it. Can't start this to flip a chi and draw an extra card because you need to pitch a chi for it, but it's probably fine. Second Tenet of Chi Moon is a 3 for 5 that draws you a card if you've transcended this turn. Second Tenet of Chi Tide gets +2 if you've transcended this turn. And second Tenet of Chi Wind gets Go Again if you've transcended this turn. All are 3 for 5s with 3 block. Pretty strong. I think Wind is the best one here. The +2 is okay. And the draw at the end of the chain probably isn't that good, but I think all of them definitely have a use in Limited. And maybe Wind could see some play inside of like Enigma or something for a 3 for 5 Go Again. Deep Blue Sea is a 4 for 5 that gets +1 for each blue you've pitched this turn. I'm sure people will try to play an OTK combo deck with it. Just wait and see. Same thing with Wide Blue Yonder. This is a attack reaction for the same thing to give +1 for each blue in your pitched. It does work on any attack though, so actually pretty decent. Big Blue Sky is sort of the same but the opposite. This one's a defense reaction that gives +1 block to itself per, and it is 2 base. It doesn't cost anything though, so you will have to pitch stuff up to actually get its effect off. Droplet is a 0 for 2 with 2 block that gets +2 if you've played another blue card. Rising Tide is the same, but 1 more power. Spillover is the same, but again, 1 more power. Tidal Surge, again, is the same, but 1 more power. Pretty much 2 more base power than its cost, and will get +2 if you've played another blue card this turn. Wash Away is a 2-cost D-React with 3 base block that gets +2 if you played another blue card this turn. Pretty strong, good defensive option if you can play some blues like some of the instants. And then First Tenet of Chi Moon is a 0-cost action that will give your next blue attack on hit draw. The First Tenet of Chi Tide will give your next blue attack +2, and Wind will give it Go Again. Sort of like the same thing as the second Tenet, but actions to pump other attacks instead. The last cards we need to go over in this video are the Transcend instants. Apart from the 3-cost classed instants, all of these instants are 0 cost. They're all blue and they're all legendary. They all have another effect saying if you've played another blue card this turn, transcend. Their backs are all the same, they're all just chi. So we'll go over each of them. A Droplet in the Ocean gives an attack -1. Homage to Ancestors gains you a life. Pass Over has you banish a card from an opposing hero's graveyard. Path Well Traveled gives an attack Go Again. Preserve Tradition has you put an attack from your graveyard on the bottom of your deck. Rising Sun, Setting Moon has you draw a card and then put a card from your hand on the bottom. Stir the Pot has you shuffle your deck. And the Grain That Tips the Scale gives you +1 power on an attack. Some of these will see play in different decks, of course. New is a deck that cares about how much damage she does and to be aggressive. So you'll see the Grain That Tips the Scale, Path Well Traveled, Rising Sun, Setting Moon. I've seen some also play Passover for the banish effect. But something like Homage isn't as strong. I play Preserve Tradition in my sideboard for some matchups in New. And then a Droplet in the Ocean and Stir the Pot don't seem too strong in that deck, although Stir the Pot can give you a shuffle, which could be pretty nice. Inside of Enigma, I play all of them because she cares the most about her chi and blues, and having all of them I think is pretty important. And then in Zen, personally, I play Grain, Path, Rising Sun, Stir, and Preserve. However, I have seen lists play all of the ones that don't target attacks, which means Homage, Passover, Preserve, Rising, and Stir. The main reason for those is because those lists are on Orion, and they can more consistently get it off because they don't have to attack first. But, you know, I haven't tried that yet. I still have a ton of testing to do for this set. So I can't really give my opinion on that specific deck now. But what I can say is that I think all of these instants are good. I think the worst one might be a droplet in the ocean, or drop in the ocean, because giving -1 is a little weird. You want to be usually aggressive with these since they're all instants, but this is a defensive one. That's why I said it's good in Enigma, but you won't see it anywhere else. All the other ones, though, are pretty nice. Homage, Rising Sun, and Stir, you can play with no targets. Preserve and Passover need targets, but they're pretty easy to get. Path Well Traveled and Grain you need to be aggressive with, because if you try to flip these on an opponent's turn, you're giving their attack go again, or their attack +1, which can feel pretty bad. But personally, I do like all of these, and I think they're all pretty good. Now, there's one more thing in this video that we need to talk about before it ends, and that is the secret card in the set. If you'll notice when you're opening some of your boxes, you will see a gold pack at the bottom. Inside of that pack is Enigma New Moon, a young-only Mystic Illusionist hero. Notably, there are 100 Marvel versions, so if you pull a Marvel, congratulations, you've won the lottery. We know one has already been pulled, so good luck in your boxes. But even if you get a normal one, it's still pretty interesting. Enigma New Moon is a young illusionist mystic hero. She gives all of your equipment cloaked, and as an instant, you can pay 3 chi to turn an equipment face up, and if it has ward, you make 3 spectral shields. This card makes Diadem good. This card makes Kimono good. Any of those ward equipments you'd play before, or you'd try to play before, that just were bad because you had to use them immediately, Enigma New Moon makes great because you can turn them face up, make shields, and then keep them in play because you just made 3 shields. Yay! Enigma New Moon's a really cool blitz hero. So honestly, anyone wanting to play Illusionist in Blitz or other similar formats, this is honestly a pretty good option. I can't really give too much opinion on it because you can't play it in CC, and I mostly play that, but I think this card's really cool. I wouldn't mind pulling one. I wouldn't mind pulling a Marvel, to be honest. Because, I still haven't gotten rid of my gold foil Anothos. So the Marvel of this plus that, I can get a lot. Or invest in something. I don't know. I don't know yet. But all I know is this card's pretty cool. Wouldn't mind getting it. As well as it is a legendary. Technically. It is one of the legendaries in this set. I think, is this the most legendary set? That might not be true. There's definitely a lot, though. And we do have one more to go over when we look at next video, because there is one more. Well, it's generic. There's one more. I don't think there's another. Yeah, there's no expansion slot legendary. So there's one more in the set we still need to go over. But other than that, that's going to be it for the video. I didn't look at how long the other parts were. This is probably over an hour. I'm sorry if you watched this whole thing. But thank you for watching the whole thing, because I really need watch time on my channel. Next week, we'll take a look at the rest of the set, being all the normal Assassin, Illusionist, and Ninja cards, as well as all of the generics and all of the expansion slot cards. So with that said, goodbye. Good luck in your pre-releases. I know those are next week. I'll be playing in at least, or the weekend this goes up is when pre-releases are. And then the next week, the video will go up the day before the set comes out. So actually, I made pretty good timing. Huh. So, good luck on your pre-releases, guys. Have fun, and I'll see you in the next video.